Thanks for tuning in to the Football Talk Squadron. I'm Dutch.
And I'm Maul.
And Maul has no idea what's coming. I just told him, getting a little trivia started. You only get to pick one category because we got a bunch. But hopefully on your screen, can you see it?
I can now.
There you go. So you get to pick the category. They are difficult. I will let you. There's a few questions that are sort of simple, but we'll go through one category and see how you do, and we'll save the rest for a follow-on day. But for those who are just listening, it's a Jeopardy board. Got categories of NFL rookies, Super Bowl history, NFL records, NFL draft, and fantasy football.
I'm going to go fantasy football.
Oh, this one's tough. All right, where do you want to start?
We'll start at the top.
Start at top. What quarterback has the highest average points per game during a season ever?
Oh my gosh. Highest average points per game. Let's go Mike Vick.
Lamar Jackson, 2019. All right, number two, $200 one. Since 2016, there have been 4 rookie running backs who have managed seasons of 300 or more fantasy points in full PPR scoring. Name them.
Oof. Since 2016. Okay, let's go. Let's go Bijan Robinson.
You have to name all 4 for me to show you the answer.
Okay. Let's go. Is he one of them? Do you know the answers?
I forget this one, so
okay.
I don't.
Gosh. I'll say Bijan. I'll say, gosh, I can't think of rookies that had fantastic years. Let's say Jonathan Taylor. Let's say
one answer is for sure going to surprise you because I do remember one of them.
Melvin Gordon. And maybe, God, I can't remember if CMC actually had a good rookie year or not.
He would have came out in 2013 though.
No, oh yeah. See, I'm thinking I got to think 2016 or earlier. I'm blanking on a fourth. I couldn't even give you a good fourth here. Zeke. I should have said Zeke, dude.
Zeke, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, and then the surprise one, Najee Harris.
Najee, yeah. So Saquon and Zeke are two should have been giveaways.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah.
300. What wide receiver in the last decade has the most PPR fantasy points in a game?
Wide receiver in the last decade has the most PPR fantasy points in the last decade.
It was recent, and if you want a hint, it was during the COVID season. I know that doesn't help at all, but it will help more with who this guy was on this team, but he's no longer with that team.
Is he still current?
Yep. Still a current player.
How about Cooper Kupp?
It's not Cooper.
Is it Puka? No, well, then you said he's on a different team. Because I was probably going to say Michael Thomas or like.
It's near and dear to your heart.
Near and dear to my heart.
Man, because you're trying to salvage it.
AJ Brown?
No. You're close. You're real close.
I don't know.
It's Tyreek Hill.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Maul's got him on his fantasy team, so now he's searching for
had.
Much like he had a left knee. That's gone. All right, 400. Since 2015, there have been 2 games with 50 or more fantasy points PPR posted by a running back. One of them was a rookie. Name the rookie running back. What's crazy is, and I'll give you a hint, this is not any of the 4 that were on the screen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought Kamara did in that Christmas game, but he wasn't a rookie then.
If I'm correct in saying this, I think he was either a rookie last year, or not last year, but the year before, in the last 3 years.
Josh Jacobs?
Not Josh. It's Devon A-Chain.
That makes sense.
All right, number 500. Only 2 rookie quarterbacks have ever topped 40 plus fantasy points in a single game. Name both rookie performances in terms of name the players.
Over the last decade, meaning like within the last 10 years?
Yes.
Jaden Daniels. And
it's not Jaden.
Not Jaden. Jeez Louise.
One is very, very good right now. And then one had a really good rookie season and then has fallen off the past few years.
I would have said Jameis maybe, but I think he was a rookie longer than 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, maybe?
That's one.
And then I don't know, like Andrew Luck.
Josh Allen and CJ Stroud.
I didn't think he had a great rookie year, but I can't remember it.
Well, just one game. Just had a single game that topped it. Those were tough. But I find that most of the time trivia with you guys is incredibly too easy. So we had to step it up this week. So we'll get them back to Jeopardy. We'll see how Pops does. The fantasy football ones were tough. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Get into it week 5. We'll talk about the games and talk about the teams going into it. Thursday night, you got the Niners, Rams. Right now, Rams -6.5. I know last week with Solo, I sort of gave the vibes that you talked about. You've said this multiple times, that there's always these, like, anytime you have either a team that hasn't won a game or has won every game, the records are deceiving. And the Niners, I feel like you had said that the week prior, that was like, they're 3-0, but they're not a 3-0 team, if that makes sense. So Vegas doesn't like them. They got the Rams heavy. I thought for sure, same as you, that with Purdy coming back last week, they would have put up a better game and beat the Jags, but ended up losing their first game last week. What are your thoughts going into the game?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Like the Jags D is actually doing pretty well. Like they're leading, I think, the league in takeaways. Like they're doing well. The Niners are just too plagued with injuries. It was kind of one of those, like, the Jags didn't blow them away on offense, but without having Bosa, they weren't able to get really any pressure, and they hadn't really been getting a ton of pressure even beforehand, but obviously without Bosa, it's even more prevalent, if you will. I think Purdy is maybe not trending in the right direction for this week either, just because it's a short week and all that stuff. So the Rams have been great. They're a good, solid team. Like they should have beaten the Eagles, for all intents and purposes. So the Rams are definitely one of those like definite contender type teams, and the Niners are just trending in the wrong direction. So I'm not surprised by the line coming off of a short week, too many injuries. Like that just spells bad news for the Niners.
Unless they can do I know this is like a big picture on the Niners. Unless they can do extraordinarily well in the draft, their window's closed for the Super Bowl. Like paying Brandon Ayuk doomed.
Yes.
The organization. Like, I mean, my man hasn't even played in the past 2 years. Like, got all that money, and he played at the beginning of last year. I remember you kept him as a keeper, and I heard many foul words that we can't repeat on this podcast during that early part of that fantasy season until he got hurt, because my man just was a zero on the field. And you think about Nick Bosa being hurt, it just sort of shows like the offensive output of the team's terrible. I get they don't have Kittle, and if Kittle was out there, it helps them a little bit. But from a position of wide receiver, I know we've talked fantasy, and it's like, well, who do you want to go with? Like Ricky Pearsall, like that's their number one guy, because Jawan Jennings is like, he's great when they had Debo and Ayuk both healthy, but he's not this like number one guy right now.
And like CMC is obviously a weapon, and like from a fantasy standpoint, he's doing great. But like running the ball, they're not even really running the ball super well. CMC is getting a lot of catches out of the backfield, which is keeping him relevant, and it's super helpful. But part of the reason is because there's not anybody getting open downfield either. So they're in a tough spot for sure.
Absolutely. And then kicking off Sunday, we have the London game, which, breaking news as of today, for those who haven't seen it, the Browns have decided to officially give up into the season starting on week 6. They're benching Joe Flacco. They're going to go with rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel for the start. The Vikings are just going from Germany. They never left Europe, and they're just transitioning over to London. And typically the team that shows up first wins. So the Vikings showed up real early, about a week a week early for this game. Minnesota right now is -3.5. What chance do you give the Browns to pull off the upset?
I mean, the Browns defense is good. It might be tough sledding running the ball for Jordan Mason. Wentz put up a lot of yards last week, so that's positive, I guess. But if he's under a lot of pressure, which he was under a lot of pressure last week, and we know the Browns front four is good, that could be their only hope of just like they're stopping the run, and Wentz doesn't have enough time to get the ball downfield. Other than that, I mean, cross the pond, Vikings were already there. They're starting a new quarterback for the first time. Like, this is not a good setup for the Browns. And like, let's be honest, like Joe Flacco is not the problem right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really understand this move. Maybe it's just like there's nothing to lose anyway kind of move, and they're just trying to like get these guys some work, or they're just trying to see like what maybe, I don't know, maybe they're going to start debuting him and Sanders and just trying to see like, all right, who do we want to like actually focus around moving forward? That's the only thing I can think of this move, because I mean, I thought Sanders played better than Gabriel in the preseason, and I didn't think Flacco was really the issue of why they weren't winning games right now anyway. So I don't know. I'm taking the Vikings though.
I think I agree with your perspective. I think it's them trying to figure out, based upon how this season's going so far, that they are probably looking at it as, we may have the number one pick. We need to evaluate whether or not Gabriel or Sanders is going to be our guy in order to figure out next year's draft. I would not be surprised if in the next 3 to 4 weeks Sanders gets a start.
Yeah,
or at least gets playing time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well.
Next game up for the regular Sunday slate, we got the Raiders going to the Colts. Raiders, Geno looks like he did at the Jets, and the Colts, do that. Mitchell dropping the football cost them the game against the Rams. The Colts easily could be undefeated going into this game. Right now, Indy's -6.5. Defense is playing good. Danny Dimes, I know he threw 2 picks, but it's like, not only did Mitchell drop that football, then he had a holding play later that cost Jonathan Taylor a 50-yard touchdown run. It was, those 2 interceptions probably don't happen if the game is reversed in a different format. So what are your thoughts on, I know this is what you predicted the Raiders to sort of look like this year.
Yeah, I mean, they finally ran the ball really well. Genty finally cut loose, so that's a positive going forward. I think this is just like exactly what we talked about. Like, the Raiders aren't really a great football team. They can have good games, and if they all happen to put it together in one night, sure, they can beat some teams. But I really just think the Colts are a solid surprise team this year, and at home, it shouldn't be a contest. Let's just hope for that.
Yeah, if I had to, it's the Colts that I'm taking, and for the other 2, just on the record, I'm the same as you, Rams and Vikings. The next game, though, is pretty tricky just because of it's a mess in terms of who do you want to go with, and it's not because of how good they are, it's because of how bad they are. You've got now the 1-3 Giants going against the 0-4 Saints. They go to New Orleans right now. New Orleans is -1.5. Do you think Jackson Dart makes back-for-back wins with the Giants?
Yeah, I was a little surprised when I saw this line. I'm guessing they're just giving it to him because it's at home, or maybe I didn't think Jackson Dart was any danger of missing time. I know he was like questionable with something going on like a hamstring, but he was able. It happened during last game, and he was able to play through it. So to me, that's the injury report is more just a rest thing for him. So he should be able to go with the Saints. Even if he doesn't go, I mean, Jameis is not a slouch for a backup. So I am surprised with the line. I think the Giants have played I don't want to say good football, but like better than I think we were giving them credit for. I mean, they were right in there with Dallas. Like, they're putting up good offensive numbers. Cam is an absolute battering ram. We can start calling him Battering Cam for the rest of the season. I think that's a pretty good nickname, which he surprised people. Jackson Dart did super well. There's nothing exciting about the Saints. I know their defense has played okay, but like offensively, like their production is just it's just so lackluster. I think when you like, who wins the game? I don't know. It's NFL. Anybody can win it. But like, from a who do I think a better team is? I do give it to the Giants.
I told you on the phone not 30 minutes ago at the Saints, and then I like when they announced the Dylan Gabriel, that's who I ended up going with the survivor pool was the Vikings pick. Mainly because I would love to pick the Saints here, but the thing that I go back to is the Giants' defensive line's really good, and that should win them the game just from that perspective. The other side note question, I may be failing on thinking of another rookie. Is the offensive rookie of the year so far Cam Scatabo? Or is there somebody else that I'm missing?
I mean, it's not Cam Ward. It's not Travis Hunter. I mean, I guess I can't think of, maybe Mason Graham.
Well, he'd be a defensive rookie.
Oh,
But
because
for
you
an
said
offensive
offensive rookie.
yeah,
I was just thinking rookie of the year. I mean, I guess why not?
he looks good. I don't know how long he's going to last. It was sort of interesting. I was watching the Bills game. We'll get to them here in a second, of them playing the Saints last week, and it was like a veteran running back in James Cook. Like, he was about to get contact and he just dart out of bounds. It was just one of those ones where he's like, dude, we're going to win this game. I don't need to be laying the lumber. Cam, however, is just like, hey, I'm going to run over anyone, including the chain gang, if I have to during this whole game, just to make a point. And it's great. I love it. I worry for him longevity wise, because usually backs who run like that, you're either going to figure out to not do that type of stuff, sort of like a quarterback taking unnecessary hits, or you're going to get out of the league with injuries.
I mean, I know the NFL is a different speed. It's a different level of game, but I mean, he's been doing that for his whole life. Like, I just saw some clip of him in high school, and it was like, can you imagine like struggling all day at Algebra 2 and then Friday night having to play against Cam Scatterbo, and he's just trucking dudes? And and it's just like, he's been doing it his whole life. Like, that's the way the guy plays. Whether it's sustainable or not in the NFL, dude, who knows? Like, running backs are a non-sustainable position right now in the NFL. Thinking about it a little more, speaking of running backs, Omari and Hampton's probably doing better than Scatterbo from like a production and helping the team. Scatterbo's doing great. I think Scatterbo's more of a surprise, though. I think people didn't expect this kind of production out of him, whereas we did expect this kind of production out of Omari and Hampton, especially Najee's been out. I would probably say he's the offensive rookie of the year right now, but I mean, who knows? It's still a lot of the football left to go.
All right, a little trivia. See if you can guess the next team that we're going to be talking about. The best offense, but also the best or the worst statistical defense in the league. They own both. Who are we talking about?
I don't know.
It's the Cowboys
Wow.
playing the Jets. So
They have
with
the
that,
best offense?
yeah, they had the most scoring so far in the
Wow.
league. It helps when you're literally having to keep up with the worst defense. As we learned against the Giants, as we learned against
That's
the
true.
Packers.
That's true. Can you imagine having the best offense and your record is 1-2-1?
Yeah. That's how Joe Burrow feels every year.
Which I got a side note for that. We'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah. Do you give the Jets? I mean, the Jets looked awful against the Dolphins. It's one of these ones where it's like, I can't emphasize it's the most New York Jets thing in the world. Like, I think Aaron Glenn is trying to do the right thing and Fields looks good. But, dude, their penalties are just off the chain. They kill themselves from within.
Penalties and turnovers. And I get it. That's part of the game. So, yes, as a whole, they do look bad. But I keep going, like, if you take away the penalties and the turnovers, they're really not so terrible. Like, they're doing it, right? So it's like, you can't trust them to not do it yet. But like, if they can just get rid of those things, like, they're not playing bad football. Like, yes, they have mistakes that are hurting them, but from like a football standpoint, I feel like they're not playing bad football. I mean, we saw week 1 against the Steelers, like, they were playing good football, and they should have won that game. They were right there with it. So like, they can put it together if they stop turning the ball over and stop shooting themselves in the foot, which kind of comes down to just maybe some discipline and some coaching, but they're not playing terrible football. Now, I don't think they'll beat the Cowboys, but again, anything can happen.
For sure. I'm in the same boat. I would love to pick the Jets here just because of how much I hate the Cowboys, but
Never been
I
on the
will.
Jets.
Yeah, never. Are you crazy? It's that clip I sent you guys. No, it's going to be their year. It's never their year. Next game up, another difficult one with you because you got AJ Brown. You've got on your fantasy team, we got Broncos going to the Eagles. Philly right now -3.5. The stat I told you, which is sort of unbelievable. Jalen Hurts last week in the second half was 0 for 8 in passing, and they still somehow won that game, which blew my mind. I said this 2 weeks ago to you on the phone. The Eagles, to me, are the Chiefs last year. Like, they have won these one-score games, and they're 4-0. They are not a 4-0 team. Like, they're not a good football team. Offensively, anyhow.
I disagree. I think they're a great football team. They are getting lucky and getting breaks going their way. So I see the Kansas City like resemblance there. That's totally valid. It's one of those, like, what are we focusing on here? Like, are we focusing on offensive production? Are we focusing on fantasy football? Because yeah, from a fantasy standpoint, outside of like Saquon and Jalen Hurts, you're probably upset. Their defense is nowhere near as good as it was last year, so that's where it feels like there's this regression that has happened, because it has. But at the end of the day, like you said, they didn't need to complete any passes. Like, if you don't need to complete any passes an entire half of football and you can still win games, like, I feel like that's a pretty damn good football team. You know what I mean? So like, yes, does it hurt from a fantasy production? Yeah. I mean, no doubt. Like, no doubt. But I mean, just like, what was it during the game when what's his name was yelling at Jalen Hurts saying, you got less than 100 yards passing. He was like, dude, we won the game. I don't care. Like, who cares, right? If they were struggling and they were actually losing these games, it's real easy to be like, all right, we got to change something. But you can't fault them. Like, teams do this all the time, and we always yell at them from like a play calling standpoint when it's like they're running the ball, and it's working, and then all of a sudden they try to like do some play action stupid call, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, just run the ball. It's been working. Like, we yell at them all the time for that. So to me, it feels a little I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like, it's working for them. Like, run the ball with Saquon because he's the best player on the field, and then when you back up to throw, instead of Jalen taking a sack, he's just like, you know what? I'm going to run the ball. So it's working for them. And until it stops working for them, or until someone figures out how to stop it, I can't blame them because they're winning football games.
Next game up, Dolphins, Panthers. Dan, or I'm not sure if you caught it during the game. I hate 2 Monday night games at the exact same time because it's like, which one do I pay attention to? And I can only listen to one. I don't know if you saw where they tried to make it so Tua didn't remember his grandkids with that linebacker hitting Tua. But like
Yeah.
Dan Orlovsky's reaction, where he was just like, "Oh man, I'm just glad he's okay." It's one of I've never watched the game, and I'm not sure about you, that legitimately Tua's the first player that anytime he takes a run, like I feel like I'm watching Russian roulette, except there's not just one bullet in the chamber. There's only one chamber that's empty. And you're just like, dude, this dude's gonna die on the field and I'm gonna watch it. I'm nervous every time he takes off running. And it's the only player that I can ever remember in my life watching that type of like shenanigans go down during a game.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
But they played the Panthers, so we've got one quarterback who has CTE and one quarterback who can't see over the offensive line. Miami right now minus 1.5-point favorite. They are at Carolina, which you've said in the past. The difference of the game usually comes down to whether or not they're at Miami. Who do you like in the game?
I still like Miami, even though the Carolina blowout of the Falcons, I think, was a random fluke. I think the Panthers throughout the season have just kind of proven they're not a good football team. Obviously, losing Tyreek is pretty detrimental to the Dolphins. I think they had the game handedly enough last night that they were able to kind of just maintain their momentum. So we'll see how they game plan for not having Tyreek for the rest of the season and kind of what they can do moving forward. To be honest, outside of week 1, where the Dolphins just got absolutely blown out and dominated by the Colts, they played okay football. I mean, they took the Bills, all gave them everything they could, on that Thursday night. So they haven't played terrible football. I think they're finally kind of getting their feet underneath them. They're running the ball well. I haven't seen really just anything positive out of Carolina, minus the one, I think, fluke game against the Falcons.
I'm in the same boat. It's hard to pick the Panthers. I like Bryce Young and I like McMillan. I think he's like starting to be that rising rookie. The problem is their defense is still trash.
Yes.
Like, given the one fluke, you look at the rest of the games and you realize the Panthers, I mean, they got torched by the Patriots. Torched.
If the yeah, exactly. Like if the Panthers hadn't won a game yet, this is one of those where it's like, hey, they're bound to win one. So like maybe this is the one. I could see that, but like they've already won a game, right? So like that whole like every time they lose, their chance of winning goes up. Like that's shot. Like they've already won the game, so they could lose every game from here on out, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Next game up, difficult. Who would have thought we'd be sitting here going the 1-3 Texans against the 1-3 Ravens? I'm just going to start this off with saying me and you both had the Ravens winning the Super Bowl.
Listen,
and they could be the farthest thing from a Super Bowl team right now.
Yes, your analysis of the Eagles, where you're like, I don't think they're good. This is the Ravens for me. Like they're not playing good football. They can't run the ball. Lamar's hurt. Derrick Henry keeps fumbling. Like their defense is banged up, so they can't stop anybody. Like they are not playing good football right now. And here we go again. Like the Steelers are just going to keep, we're going to go 500 and somehow win the division because the Browns are terrible. The Bengals are never going to win a game again, and the Ravens can't get it together.
I saw memes on the internet, my favorite thing in the world. I saw one that said Mike Tomlin's the type of guy in Blackjet to stand on a 12 and still win. But it's true. And the Steelers look good they've looked better each and every week, especially defensively. Like, the Steelers are going to be a competitor at the end of the year. And as of right now, you pointed it out in the text, there's no one else in that division. Like outside of the Ravens, Bengals, we're going to get to them here in a second. That's bad. And the Browns are bad.
I know Rodgers is old, but like the more and more he keeps playing with Metcalf, dude, that's a dangerous combination. I mean, and if Warren comes back and he's healthy, like even without Warren, like Gainwell's tearing it up. Like they're playing good football. And the Ravens are not.
Which they're lucky because they're going against the Texans, who are also not playing good football outside of the game versus the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. But like sometimes that's all it takes, right? It's the slump buster. You've probably seen that meme too. Like all you need is to get one and be like, yeah, I remember how to play this game. Like because the Texans have been also surprisingly bad from like what we kind of expected from them. Now, who wins this game? Yeah, this one's a good toss up. It's going to come down to whether the Texans D line can stop the run. Because if Lamar doesn't play and it's Cooper Rush, look out. Like if that's the case, I'm probably taking the Texans because I don't see the offensive production there from the Ravens, or they're going to have to run the ball so much it's going to control the game script in a weird way.
We watched the game of them versus the Lions, and I saw it even with the Chiefs. The other part to this whole like Ravens struggles, Lamar on these like fourth downs, it's painful. It reminds me of like a immature college quarterback that it's like, hey, at least throw it up and give your player, somebody else a chance. Like I almost be willing to take the pick, but taking the sack did no one any good. And
Yeah.
I keep seeing that with Lamar that he gets in these down and distances, and it's just like he's almost like hesitant to make a mistake. And you're like, dude, I'd rather you just fling it, dog.
Which it's giving me Caleb Williams senior year at USC vibes, where it's like he feels like he has to do so much to win the games, which I don't know why. Like Lamar has weapons around him. Like their defense has definitely not played well. But like you said, like I don't know if he's got like MVP aspirations on his brain all the time and he's just trying to do too much. But like that's what it feels like. And it's ending up burning them and making them look like a bad football team.
Yeah.
And like, let's be honest, Derrick Henry fumbling the ball at the two most critical times in their season so far has not helped.
They could easily be, 3-1, but here they are 1-3. Next game up, Titans winless. Cam Ward. Their offensive production has just gone down each and every week, including the overall score of the game. Last week they got routed by the Texans. I appreciate Cam Ward's like where he just got on and was like, "Yo, this team's straight booty, dog." Like, at least
maybe
he's
that's
honest.
what it takes. Like, yeah, like you know what? Like, let's stop sugarcoating it. He knows. Like, and I don't think anybody really on that team would disagree with him. Like, I thought that was a great comment, like a mature comment. Like, it probably sounds immature from like oh, he's dogging his team or whatever. But like, you know what, dude? Like, call it what it is. Like, they got to get better in all aspects.
Yep, and they're going against the Cardinals. Cardinals are -7.5. Cardinals are one of the. I always like the big cat where he like ranks all the teams. Like the Cardinals are just that like feisty team this year in the NFL, which it's looking better and better for your playoff pick that they could easily slide in as a wild card team this year, or even possibly win the division.
I mean, I don't think they're taking down the Rams. I think the Rams are just too solid at this point. It was if they beat the Seahawks, then yeah, I would have said they had a good shot. They started really slow against the Seahawks, and the Seahawks is too good of a team for them to come back on. But they tried; they were right there at the end of the game. The thing with me for the Cardinals, feisty may be a good word. It's probably not the word I would use. Is they always play to the level of their competition, which is like when they play good football teams, they play good football, and you're like, oh, this is a good football team. But they've also shown like bad, they played poor as well. So they need to hope they don't play down to the level of the Titans this week because then it's going to look really ugly. Trey Benson, I think, is questionable right now. So that's definitely going to hurt their running game. I talk about slump busting. Marvin Harrison Jr. finally got into the end zone last week against the Seahawks, and hopefully that's the connection that is like, all right, we remembered how to do this. Let's be the connection that everybody's expecting us to have. If there's a week to do it, it's this one against the Titans.
Absolutely, I'm still taking the Cardinals in the game.
Yeah, of course.
Bucks, Seahawks -3.5. I feel like this is like a future playoff matchup
Easily.
type of game.
Yeah, this feels like wild card weekend.
Who you got?
I'm gonna take the Bucks.
The only hindrance to me taking the Bucks right now is their defense. I love what Baker has in the offense, especially Chris Godwin came back and looked healthy last week, and like him and Mboka, the Bucks have an offense. Like even both running backs still look great for the Bucks. It's just their defense's ability to stop. And this is one of these ones where I like look at Minnesota and I just want to go, yo, Sam Darnold, yet again, is looking really better than either option that you have currently on the team. And he's probably going to take Seattle to the playoffs, and Minnesota's going to struggle to get there. It's hard to bet against Sam Darnold in the game, and that's I've got the Seahawks for that reason, just because they've played well on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I could be convinced otherwise for sure. The Bucks have definitely needed some Baker magic to get themselves where they are. That being said, my man's coming through. Like it's one of those like it doesn't matter how many points they're down by. Like Baker is such a dog. He's keeping them in these games and he's helping them come back. So yes, if they get down and they're trying to do this like comeback thing, the Seahawks is going to be a difficult team to do it against. But I'm gonna keep riding Baker, so to speak, with this magic that he's pulling out, and until it fades.
Next game up, you called this after week 1. Got to give you your props on it. You said you thought that their performance was a complete mirage and that people were going to overreact to it, and you could not have been more right. The Lions have been on an absolute tear since really just not showing up against the Packers, which you put the same two teams on the field this week, and I'd take the Lions 100 times
It's like
out of
the
100.
opposite game. I feel like the Lions would absolutely control the Packers the way the Packers controlled the Lions.
And the good news for the Lions is they don't have to control the Packers. They just have to beat every offensive lineman who's colorblind and missing both hands for the Bengals, because that's
which is all Bengals 5 of them.
God, I sent you guys a clip of Denver blitzing, and it was just like there were 4 guys that got through, and Browning's just getting murdered.
Okay, so this my side note of like why Joe Burrow should have won the MVP last year. Because I mean, think about it. Like from a pure stats standpoint, I think he was actually the best passer in stats, statistics last year. So that's one thing. I get it. Lamar, Josh Allen, maybe like the best players, or whatever you want to call it, the most exciting to watch. But from like truly MVP, most valuable player. Think about like what the Bengals have always been contenders. Like they went to the Super Bowl a few years back, and their offensive line is absolute garbage. And what I said last week of like, if they couldn't do it with Burrow, there's no chance they're doing it with Browning. And this goes to show like the Bengals were, what were they? They were 2-1 when Burrow went down, maybe 2-0 when Burrow went down. So I mean, like, the team didn't change. The only thing that changed was Burrow, and they look absolutely atrocious. So Burrow could win the MVP this year, and he won't even have to play.
You're not. I mean, it is a testament to how good of a player he is to have the team 2-0, and like you said, absolutely nothing has changed from the team. The sad part is like this is being lumped into my opinion. Everyone's lumping in this on the head coach. This is a GM problem, and even more so, it's an ownership problem for not getting talent around Joe Burrow to keep him healthy. Like this is the Colts with Andrew Luck, but even worse. Like when you look at it from a statistical standpoint, Burrow's gotten sacked more times than Andrew Luck has, and he's getting hurt now, consistently year by year. And you just sort of go, look, you guys need a wholesale to go get him an offensive line next year. And the problem is this is what bad teams do. Don't get me wrong. I love T. Higgins. But when you paid him that money, it's going to come out of other places. And where it came out of was the offensive line and the entire defense. And here we are. I feel like we're just a matter of within a few years of Joe Burrow either pulling a, in my opinion, probably best for his career to pull a Carson Palmer and be like, either trade me or I'm not playing. Like, I've had enough. I'm not dying on this thing. Or he's going to retire and be an Andrew Luck.
Yeah. The meme of Joe Burrow Jamar Chase and T. Higgins like standing next to each other, and it's like this is how a 5-year-old builds a team on Madden. Like it's true. Like it looks good on paper, but it's like we've always said it, and we always know, and it's not the sexy thing to do, but like offensive and defensive line wins the game. Like that's always the difference of the game, regardless of the playmakers on the outside. And
Eagles last year.
Yeah, and if Joe Burrow can't have enough time to get it to the playmakers that you paid all that money, what's the point of having them?
100%. Next game up, Commanders, Chargers minus 2.5. The Commanders could possibly this week get back Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry. Chargers coming off just sort of a mind-numbing loss to the Giants. I get, from a offensive and defensive perspective, they were completely out of sync, and it was one of those ones where I feel like every team, sort of like as you talk about when a team doesn't have a win, it's just a matter of time before they get one, and when a team doesn't have a loss, it's just a matter of time before they get one. Which one do you look at with the Chargers more in terms of them bouncing back against the Commanders? Was that a fluke or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've proven multiple weeks that they're a solid football team. And I mean, to be honest, like the Giants didn't play bad football. Like the Chargers, obviously, I would say the Chargers lost the game more than the Giants won the game, but like they weren't playing bad. Like it wasn't a Falcons Panthers like beat down. Like so, I think it was just they had an off night when the Giants had an on night, and it was just a bad timing thing. That being said, like the Commanders are no slouch, especially if they get Jaden and Scary Terry back. Like I think it'll be a good solid matchup, and kind of a coin flip depending on whether the Chargers can turn it around or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna still take the Chargers in the game just because until I know that Jaden is fully healthy, you just can't bet on Mariota to perform, especially after last week. We saw Mariota come back down to earth against the Falcons, and I think the Chargers have just as good of a defense, if not better, than the Falcons do.
Yeah, and I don't see any holes on the Charger. Like the Chargers are playing good football on both sides, and even when Jaden Daniels was healthy, he still wasn't playing his rookie year, amazing type of football. So I'm with you on the Chargers, sir.
Next, we got the one of only two teams left undefeated, the other being the Eagles. The Bills playing at home Sunday night against the Patriots. Patriots rattled off the big win against Carolina. Right now, Buffalo's minus 7.5. The only thing that I will say about this that I think that there could be a potential of an upset, the Bills' rushing defense sucks, which I get. They don't have Ed Oliver right now, and they don't have Milano at middle linebacker, and that is a huge piece to the defense. But this is giving the shades of the Bills for the past 3 years. Tremendous offense, but still there's questions with the defense. Do you think the Patriots with Drake May can pull out a victory in Buffalo?
The Patriots is tough for me because Drake May is playing really well. Like I can't take that away from him. Looking at who they've played though, I mean they lost week 1 to the Raiders, and I'm still confused on like how or why that happened. Not from a Raiders standpoint. We talked about the Raiders already as how they're going to surprise some people, but like it's giving me pause to the Patriots of like I can't tell whether they're a good team or not, because then they beat the Dolphins, which the Dolphins had just come off an absolute beatdown from the Colts. Then they lose to the Steelers, but then beat the Panthers, which we know is a terrible team. So there's been kind of these like I haven't seen the Patriots really play good competition yet and show up. So I don't have a good read on the Patriots. Being a divisional game, I feel like they'll probably give the Bills all they could ask for, especially since you talked about, the Bills defense isn't doing super well. I think Drake May is playing really well. I think the more and more of a connection he gets with Stephon Diggs, it's going to be difficult for the Bills to stop. I think the Bills are just too overpowering of a football team right now. It might be closer than maybe we're expecting. Obviously, what's the line? 7.5. That's not a huge line, but it's probably one of the bigger ones on the week, just because the NFL is like that. So that's what I'm not. I haven't sold on the Patriots yet, but I'm not super convinced they're as good of a team as maybe they've started playing like, because they've been playing weaker teams.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Just because you beat down on the Panthers doesn't mean that the next week against the Bills you're going to have the same type of success. That being said, this is my upset of the week. Monday night, I like Jacksonville against the Chiefs. I know that sounds crazy. I think that the Chiefs like one game fluke against the Ravens was just because the Ravens are not playing good football. And on the opposite side,
Fair point.
Jacksonville's playing good football. Like it there's 3-1. Trevor Lawrence has not looked awful this year, surprise, surprise. But the bigger surprise is, dude, that defense is getting after it. They lead the league in turnovers. They are getting after the quarterback. This is the only thing I think will prevent the Jaguars from getting the win. Is usually when you have a super good defensive line, if you lose contain, Mahomes gets out of the pocket. And when he gets out of the pocket and runs, it just like takes the entire wind out of a defense, because it never happens on like a 3rd and 1. It's always like a 3rd and 19 that he ends up like running for 30 yards, and you're just like, God, we had him where we wanted him, and we still couldn't stop it just because we let this dude who shouldn't be running, and then no one wants to hit him. Like, it drives me insane. But Kansas City is the favorite, -3.5. What are your thoughts on the game?
I'll agree with you on the defense, but the Jags offense is, albeit playing better than they've shown over the last couple years. ETN has finally gotten going again. I'm still, you know my feelings on Trevor Lawrence. Now they're playing better, right? And you can maybe chalk that up to better coaching. I don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs, though. I don't. The Chiefs have been playing better football than it was like every week has been a different story with the Chiefs. They lose to the Chargers week 1, and we're like, yep, see, we knew the Chiefs weren't going to be as good, and we knew the Chargers were going to be good. So it made sense. Then they go out and lose to the Eagles, and you're like, yeah, well, Super Bowl champs, Eagles are the best. It's hard to. And then they come out and beat the Giants pretty handedly, which you're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. The Giants are bad. And then they beat the Ravens, which, we just talked about the Ravens, about like, maybe they're not as good of a football team, but they beat them pretty good, right? And I would say, like, if you put the Ravens against the Jags right now, that's probably a pretty close game. So the Chiefs just beat the Ravens by a pretty good amount. Like, I get what you're saying. I understand the logic. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I gotta throw some. It's one of these ones that, if I've learned anything through these like pick'ems with you and Survivor Pool, is that when you think that that's the team that's going to win, it never, because we always have these like toss up games, like Dolphins Panthers, where it's just Saints Giants, that you're always like sort of a coin flip, and you'll still set a 5-game parlay that you're like, dude, it's going to be the Chiefs, it's going to be the Bills, it's going to be the Lions. And it's like Vegas, I think it's like, thank you. Just slide the $100 over. Don't even pick up your ticket, because this ain't hitting. And it never fails that that's what ends up happening. So I like look at this game and I'm just like, well, one of these like favorites that we sort of feel like that team should win is not going to. Do I think it's the Bengals are going to upset the Lions? No. It could happen because it's the NFL game, but it's like, does Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then Dan Campbell all get eaten by a Bengal tiger at the beginning of the game? No? Okay, well, they're probably still going to win. The Chiefs, however, that's like the threat to me right now, is until they get Rashee Rice back, it's offensively, they still look a little out of sorts.
I think it's because they can't run the ball. Like, they're having difficulty running the ball, which I don't know the solution there. Like, I don't know if
there's not one.
I don't know if it's an offensive line thing or if it's the running back thing, because Kareem Hunt is 80 years old and Isaiah Pacheco just can't get anything going. I don't know what it is, but they're not turning the ball over, though, which that's Jags kind of what's keeping them in it. They're getting after the ball for sure. So, again, if you're going to make me choose on whether or not Patrick Mahomes is going to turn the ball over, like, I'm not going to take that bet.
Totally get it. That wraps up week 6 of NFL action. I think I said that right.
Week 5.
Week 5. My bad. I always get college and NFL mixed up every time I talk about them because they're
Yeah.
always. Can we not just get on the same page with everyone else? Be great. But that wraps it up. You got anything else before we wrap up the rest?
Nope, that's it.
Pops isn't here, but he'd love to tell you that the Bears finally did something good on special teams. That's how we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Time Full Chalks. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.